Alright, so we have a lot to discuss with this chapter. We have Sukuna finally using Mahoraga. We also have Yorozu unveiling her insane curse technique. And also some very interesting tidbits in relation to what Sukuna wants to do with Megumi's body. It's absolutely insane, so let's get into it. Now the chapter starts off with Sukuna facing down Yorozu. And what's interesting about this is that this stadium is in the Sendai colony. So I'm not saying that Sukuna will face off against Yuta, but Yuta was in this colony a few chapters before this, so it is possible, but we'll wait and see. Now Yorozu does say something very interesting. She said that from the looks of things, you have a serious advantage over that incarnated body. I bet you could switch your face back whenever you wanted. Now what this possibly means is that Sukuna can probably switch back to his original body, and this might be possible for Yorozu as well. Now I was kind of questioning why Sukuna would remain in his body, but they said something later on that I think kinda cleared it up. So Sukuna said the same could be for you, Yorozu, and Yorozu replied saying that, so I take it we're thinking the same thing. It's better this way for future circumstances. Now of course we have no idea what those circumstances will be, but of course Sukuna knows something we don't since we're the audience and Sukuna is actually in the story. So for some reason Sukuna needs to keep access to Megumi's face, at least for now. And then we're switching to the battle between Sukuna and Yorozu, and Sukuna is basically kinda keeping pace with Yorozu. It doesn't seem like he's taking the battle seriously, but Yorozu seems to have this very unique curse technique that allows her to like defend herself and attack at the same time. So it seems to be something similar to blood manipulation, but it's explained later on that it's not the case. So we'll get to that when we get to that point in the chapter. Now we then had this very cool scene of Yorozu actually riding this black substance that she's using to defend herself. And it's actually pretty cool, and she's keeping pace with Sukuna. Now we have this interesting scene that was very confusing in the spoilers, but it's very clear here. So we have Sukuna landing a very clear hit on Yorozu, but she blocks it using her wings. And we can see that Sukuna's foot is printed out in the wing itself. Now Yorozu did point out something that I found very interesting. I also had questions about it myself. She basically pointed out how Angel wasn't able to send Sukuna within Yuji, which I found very weird. But Yorozu's answer to why she could send Sukuna is because of love. So I don't know if this is true and should be taken literally, but I mean that's the answer we have for now. Now Yorozu is actually hilarious in this chapter. I actually find her character quite interesting. So she's saying to Sukuna that I want to be the one to kill you and I want you to be the one to kill me, but let's say you're still alive after I win, what do you give me? So she's basically claiming that she will win the fight, and Sukuna basically says, yo, everything. He doesn't even care, he's very nonchalant about it, and he says that it's unthinkable that I would lose, but if I do, defeat is no different than death. Whatever you wish to do with my corpse, it's up to you. And it's like he's not being serious, he's very sarcastic, you know, because he knows he's going to, and I think Yorozu knows it as well, but you know, we'll see how that plays out though. Now I'm not sure if Yorozu is just playing along and being sarcastic as well, or she's 100% serious, but she's basically planning a wedding with Sukuna's corpse if she wins, and she's basically talking about what they're going to do. They're gonna decapitate the most handsome man in the village and also write haiku to each other. It's actually funny. So clearly this chapter is more of a light-hearted chapter, but it does have some interesting detail which we'll get into. So while Yorozu is fantasizing about what she's going to eat and have Urame cook for her, Sukuna just prepares his divine dogs and just attacks her immediately, so he literally doesn't care. And this is very interesting because the divine dogs looks very different. They look very hellish, you know, they look very different and more in line with how Sukuna would want them to be. So again, it's kind of weird. It seems like the 10 shadows, it depends on the user. It's not just like a power thing, it's also a mentality thing to a certain degree. Now Yorozu then stops the fight because she realizes that Sukuna isn't using his curse technique, and this part is very interesting. She then directly asks Sukuna, what about your malevolent shrine? Then Sukuna replied that he won't use it. Now before we get into why Sukuna won't use it, this part is interesting because it seems like the malevolent shrine is not just his domain, it's also his curse technique. Because why would she ask Sukuna why isn't he using his domain expansion so earlier on in the fight? It's kind of weird because she isn't using her domain expansion either. So it seems like she's talking about the malevolent shrine itself being a curse technique that Sukuna can just use, and maybe he has abilities that are stored within the malevolent shrine as well. But this is very interesting, but it's not confirmed. We'll wait and see how it plays out, but you know, we'll see. Now Sukuna then explained that the reason why he's not using his curse technique is because in order to completely submerge or sink Megumi's consciousness or soul, he has to destroy Megumi's sister, which is Sumiki, which Yorozu now has control of. He then said that if I kill her by only using his 10 shadow technique, in a way that blood will be on his hands. The scar I carve carve into his soul will be that much deeper. Now if you look at it at face value, this might not make sense because it's Sukuna still doing the deed, but I think Sukuna is looking at it from a deeper level because I think your curse technique is tied directly to your soul. So basically what he's saying is that if he uses Megumi's curse technique to harm his sister, then that would directly affect Megumi's soul because his technique is tied to his soul. So I think this part is very interesting and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out as well. Of course, there's this big argument about the body and soul and all that jazz. And of course, we have Kenjaku jumping from body to body and still having access to the curse techniques. So it also proves that the techniques are also tied to the body. It could be both, but I'm also working on a video on that, so we'll see how that works out. Now Yorozu is getting pretty angry because she doesn't want to be second fiddle to Sukuna. She wants him to go all out. She wants him to use his curse technique against her, and she really doesn't believe that Sukuna can beat her without using Malevolent Shrine. And this part is very interesting because it opens up some door for like power scaling mechanics, because you could believe her and say that maybe Sukuna is relative in physical strength, and it does seem to be the case because it's not like Sukuna is blitzing her and like punching her and she's losing blood and all that jazz. He is barely damaging her, so it seems like he's relative to some degree without using his curse technique or his domain. But I also believe that Sukuna is taking it very like easily. He's not going all out, he's not like trying that hard. He's just having fun before he just goes in for the kill, which something like that does happen later on, but we'll get to it. Now before we get to that point, it basically explains what Yorozu's curse technique is. It says that other than special curse tools, Yorozu's construction technique can replicate any substance that she has knowledge of with enough practice. The seasoned sorcerer Yorozu came to this conclusion for her curse weapon of choice, a liquid metal that maintains its physical properties while freely being able to change the shape and volume through semi-autonomous curse energy control. So even though it's not like blood manipulation technique, it's something similar, but instead of like controlling blood, she's controlling this liquid metal that she actually created. So the curse technique she has is somewhat similar to Mai's curse technique, since it's somewhat similar in some way, but it might not be the same thing. We'll see how it plays out later on, you know, in a couple chapters from now. Now it also says that she can construct an armor of flesh inspired by a variety of borrowings from multiple strands of evolution. And then we basically have this image of this monstrosity that she created, and it seems to be like a merger of a bug, a man, a butterfly, maybe a crab, we say maybe a scorpion as well. So basically she's combining multiple animals here. So this power is actually insane. But then we skip to Sukuna, who says seems just about right for a test drive. And then we have Mahoraga's wheel above Sukuna's head. Now I also made a video like a few weeks ago talking about how Sukuna might be able to manifest Mahoraga, and this part is very interesting because it doesn't seem like he's going to exercise him, and we know how the curse technique itself works. You have to exercise the Shikigami in order to use them. Now this might be confusing. Some people are saying that it's possible that he did it off screen, but it's also possible that when he killed Mahoraga back in Shibuya, it still registered as Sukuna subduing the beast, so it might register Sukuna as a master. It's possible, but it also might be that he did it off screen, or it could be that he's going to do it right now. We don't know, but I think it's what happened in Shibuya that caused him to be able to use Mahoraga right now. But that's it for the chapter, guys. I have this video on Maki versus Akari coming out tomorrow, so if you guys want to see that versus battle, just come back to the channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell to be notified when I post new content, and also drop a like if you like this video and comment down below your thoughts, and we'll discuss it in another video. So with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.